vegetarian. And all my life, that hasn't really been that big of a deal. But when I was 24, I moved to South Korea for a one-year assignment with my job. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Korean cuisine is basically just meat. So one day, it was about a month into my time there, and I was just chatting with my boss about what we did over the weekend. And I had mentioned that I had made some new friends, and we went to this bar and got drinks. And his face fell in shock. And he was like, "Wait, you drink?" "Yes." "But you're a vegetarian." I had no idea those two things could be mutually exclusive. So it turns out in Korea, the only people who are crazy enough not to eat meat are people like priests or monks, people who are very pure of mind and body and soul. So they don't drink, they don't eat meat, they don't sin in general. But I'm cool with most sins, I just don't eat meat. So as soon as my boss found out about this, my entire Korean experience changed. I started getting invited to these huge dinners with tons of coworkers. Groups of like 15 or 20 people would all get together and leave the office around 7, and we'd have this huge family-style dinner with tons of alcohol, tons of Korean barbecue. We'd play drinking games. They were so much fun. And I had no idea that until that point, I wasn't being invited to them because I guess they thought I was some type of monk. So as I started going to more and more of these dinners, I started to learn a really big difference between Korean office culture and American office culture. And that is that in Korea, you treat your coworkers truly like a second family. You spend so much time with them in the office, outside of the office, and that was really starting to happen for me. So there were 3 people on my team. There was Hwayoung. She was very kind and always helped me when I was struggling, so she was sort of like my Korean mom. And then there was Yoonjun. He was sort of known around the office as like the funny guy, and he took on like a very older brother role for me. And by that I mean he was kind of an asshole, but in a very loving way. And then there was Changhoon, our boss, who was like soft-spoken and quiet, but always had our backs, and he was sort of like the team's collective dad. And as we got closer and closer as a family, we started to do what any real family does, which is really annoy the crap out of each other. And the thing that they were constantly annoying me about was that I didn't eat meat. Every time we went to lunch or dinner, which was every day, they would be like, "Rohini, come on, it's so good. Are you sure you don't want to try it?" But the thing was, I had been a vegetarian my entire life. So for me, it's cultural, so my entire family is vegetarian, and it had weirdly become part of my identity somehow. It did kind of matter to me. But my parents were never super strict about it, and they were always like, when you go to college, you can do whatever you want. But they said it in that distinctly parental way, where they were like, "We'd be disappointed, but it's up to you." But the pressure to eat meat in Korea was higher than anything I had ever experienced. And it wasn't just that they wanted me to try the food, it was also really logistically difficult to be a vegetarian there. You can't just go to a traditional Korean restaurant and order the veggie option. That doesn't exist. So at these big group dinners, my Korean mom would spend like 10 minutes arguing with the waiter to get me something special off the menu. And my Korean brother would point to various dishes on the table that were clearly meat and be like, "No, that's a special Korean vegetable. You should try it." And as the pressure grew higher and higher and logistics became more and more complicated, I started to find my resolve slowly weakening. And I started to be like, should I eat meat? And as they saw me hesitate, they would push even harder. So it even culminated to the point where one day my boss announced to a group of like 15 to 20 people, "I have an idea. I'm gonna put Get Rohini to Eat Meat onto our team goals for the year. So that way, if she doesn't do it, we all fail." It was genius. So one day, it was now like 4 months into my time there, and we all got dinner at this fried chicken restaurant. And they went to order, and they started their usual taunting of like, "All right, we're gonna order, are you sure you don't want anything?" And I don't know what it was about that day. Maybe it was the smell of the fried chicken. Maybe it was the fact that we had had a few beers before we got to the restaurant. Maybe 4 months of peer pressure is just the right amount that works, but I found myself saying, "Okay." And their faces went from like shock to panic to excitement to shock to panic. And they're looking at me and I'm looking at them. And Hwa-young jumps into mom mode. And she's like, you don't have to do anything you're not comfortable with. And Yoonjun is in older brother mode being like, shut up, do it, do it, do it. And so we order a bunch of chicken and they set a piece down in front of me. And for a brief moment, all I can see are my parents in my head thinking, we're disappointed, but it's up to you. And I hate disappointing my family. But then I look at these 3 eager faces that are all staring at me with their camera phones out, ready to document this moment, and I realize I kind of have another family here, and I don't want to disappoint them either. So I take a piece, and it's chewy, it's crispy, it's greasy. It is delicious. It's fucking delicious. Guys, I don't know if you know this, fried chicken is delicious. And so I tell them this, and they all jump out of their seats. They start cheering and screaming. They're high-fiving me. And my boss ordered another round of shots for the table. It was the most fun way to do anything for the first time. And so the next day, I go into the office, and my head hurts from the hangover, and my stomach hurts from betraying everything it had ever known. And the entire day, a constant stream of people are stopping by my desk, some of whom I haven't even met before, to be like, we hear you eat meat now. And that was it. My entire life's identity as a vegetarian was gone in one night. But I didn't really regret it. And the rest of my time there, my coworkers tried to see what else they could get me to eat. So I tried pork belly that was fatty and rich. I tried fish cakes that were salty and spongy. I tried live squid that was gross. That one was gross. I tried it all because I didn't want to disappoint my family. And now I'm back in America, and I'm actually back to being a vegetarian. And it's not because I suddenly regained my sense of cultural identity. It's because when you go to KFC and you order a piece of fried chicken, not one person gives you a high five. What's the point?